Hi, Kelsey. How's it
Hi.
going?
Great. How are you?
So we've already been chatting for about an hour, and we met at the Tiny House conference. And of course, seeing your schedule, which includes questions, made my heart, sink a bit because you're going through issues. We don't have to mention the name of the builder, but issues with the current builder that you're in with. So if you want to just share with me a little bit about, where you're at right now and kind of the process of how you got to where you're at, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what we just chatted about for the last hour.
Sure. So I learned about tiny houses, made the commitment that this is the direction I wanted to go, and then started doing my own research just on my own based on what I'd been exposed to or how looking at different sites, multiple builders. And really, I settled on one in particular because of timeline, location, designs that I really liked, and the research and interaction that I had had with them was pretty positive up to that point.
And quick
Uh,
question: so you had looked at a number of builders out there.
yes, I
Okay.
looked at them. I didn't talk to them.
Okay,
I
that's
sent a
cool.
couple emails, but the only ones I talked to in person was the one that I, had then committed to.
Right.
Um, so right now, I am committed to a builder in the sense that I've given them a down payment, signed a contract with them, and done an initial design call to make edits to the templates that they had. Um, and I started or kept doing more of my own research, and then doubts started to creep in because of some of the other reviews that I had found, some of the current or more up to date kind of status on where they're at, and some of the news articles that had been written about them. So I started to panic. I
And
had done
rightly
this.
so. Unfortunately, this company's in a bankruptcy situation. So we don't have to say who it is, but they are in that mode. And so that naturally would be a concern for me if I was looking at, it would be one of those like, oh, they're in that, let's go somewhere else. Yeah.
Right. So I did all of that before the tiny house conference, then met slash I met you. You didn't meet me at the time, but I had met you. Learned not only more about the tiny house industry, which was incredibly invaluable. I felt so much more educated, knowledgeable, empowered, like just confident in kind of some of the decisions that I was seeing, and had more context behind the additional research that I was doing and information I was learning. So fantastic conference. Can't say enough good things about that.
Yay.
Then reached out via your website to kind of do these consultation calls, and I think hindsight 2020. I wish I would have waited on that down payment and waited to sign the contract. Going this
Right.
direction with you would have been one, logically what made sense in my mind for the steps and the processes that you go through, but just better peace of mind knowing that I was looking and again doing due diligence to all the different avenues out there, because there's so many builders and so many options, and the options can be overwhelming.
Right. And one of the things that we've just been talking about, the process that we take you through, and because this happened to us, our builder went bust in the middle of the build, for those that, didn't know. And we went from, full custom home to surprise DIY that took 8 months of our life and over $40,000 our budget. And like you, we had that bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, we had done the math, way too much in rent for many years, and we were just tired of not being homeowners and giving our money to other people, to build their equity. And so, I'm a softie. I was like the first person that said the word green to me, or that just looked nice online. I just went for. And so what that does is it locks you into a path, and only one path. And yet, what is the age old, like, go get a number of quotes? Well, it's difficult to do with a custom home because you actually need to design it first before you go and put it out to multiple builders. You can give them ideas and sizing, of course, but the nuances, like we were talking about steam room shower, like the only other person that I know that's driving her own tiny home and wants a steam room shower like us is you. So those are important things to know, because you leave the steam room shower out and that's a big chunk. It might be a couple $1,000 difference in a quote. And so you as the, person wanting the custom tiny home, or at least the home with some modifications, would you say there's enough modifications to say that this is more of like a customizable model?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Especially with some of the specificity and like where I want additional storage, not only things like the steam room, but in-floor heating, things like going solar, kind of tailoring to the two dogs that I have, so making space for them as well. Yeah, I would
It
say
makes
that.
sense. It's your life, and tiny homes, I mean, it's important. Just regular homes, people like their design, but in tiny homes, the design is your lifestyle. It reflects how you use your home now, and dogs, and projects, and all those things.
Yeah.
And so then what we do is we take that design, and working with the builder, sorry, the designer, and then we go, and with builders that you've identified, builders that I bring into the mix that I know, because not only have I been in this industry for a number of years, but I'm also on the board of the Tiny Home Industry Association. So that's exposed me to a
Mhm.
lot more builders than I ever would have known just in my own world, which has been invaluable. And so then we put this out, this bid package to the builders. We get a materials vision board, the line drawings that have been designed, and then we get this back, and then we do an analysis together. Yeah. So knowing that process, then you would have gone this direction first on, and you may still. We'll
Yes, may
see.
still. Yep. Gonna try to see what options are out there and kind of how, based on how the conversation's gone and if this is still possible. If it is, yes, this is definitely the direction.
Yeah, I mean, one of the points, you're early in, they've only done a design, and there is some comment about them doing the trailer. But
Correct.
based on I literally have a Business Insider article online from me. I'll put it in the link wherever I'm posting this video, to the article that showcases what's happened, not only from my perspective with my builder, which is different than the one you've been in connection with, but it also speaks to a number of other people that have had issues. And it even talks about, Zach Giffen from Tiny House Nation talking about, it's the Wild West. They don't have to be contractors. No one has to have a really stellar record. And it's a new and growing industry. In fact, it's expected to grow to $5.8 billion in the next 4 years. So there's going to be a lot of players in the market. There's going to be a lot of people coming in and out. Some will be really high integrity, and those are the ones I'm working with. And others may not have the integrity that the industry needs. And others, for maybe no fault of their own, things can happen to their
Sure.
business. But we definitely want to make sure that you're in the driver's seat. So one of the mantras I always have people go through in my master classes is really, I'm in charge. Like, I'm going to have the best team, the best tiny home, and I'm in charge. And so at the end of everything we say, I'm in charge. However, being so new to it and doing all the research, and there's so much to know, it can put someone in a state of overwhelm.
Oh yeah, easily.
What would you
Especially
say
when
to someone starting out that's just in your same position?
um, so I think a lot of the research that I did on my own was really empowering, right? So definitely do your own element of research so that you can figure out where your comfort lines are, and where you're not comfortable. How do you expand into that to learn more? The tiny house conference was unbelievable because it was such a short amount of time exposed to a variety of different things. And then within your network, everyone has networks, right? Reach out to the people that have either looked in this direction before or have something that can relate to this direction, whether it's, engineers that are familiar with this, or people who have looked at real estate before, people even who have bought a home before, right? Or multiple homes. I've never done that. So knowing what a standard model or standard process looks like when you're buying a home versus this type of process, also really helpful. And then I'd say talk to you, right? 100%. This is super helpful.
Book a call with me. It's 20 minutes, and we get to know where you're at in your tiny home journey. I also help a lot of DIYers that if they want to just go DIY, a lot of them don't know about the RV park model certification, which is called the ANSI, ANSI. A119.5, which is really the only standard that we have available to us right now, until the Tiny Home Industry Association is actually working on standards just for tiny homes.
That's
But
awesome.
until then, getting a home built that's quality, built safely, all of those is really the best thing you can do to safeguard yourself from any issues down the road.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kelsey. I really appreciate
No,
you
my
coming
pleasure.
on and sharing with so many other people that are in your same position, maybe in your same position, in a number of months or years, and they're looking at it. So let's go tiny.
Woo! Thank you, Lindsay.